If you're a woman, then going through menopause is something you'll experience at some point in your life. So joining me now is Dr. Sharon Thompson to help walk us through that change. Welcome, doctor.
Thank you.
First off, what is menopause?
So menopause is a transition similar to puberty. So we all are familiar with puberty when your body starts to change and develop, and girls will develop periods and boys will develop. Menopause is the tail end of that for women. So the ovaries that started their hormonal production at puberty are finishing their hormonal production. Now, there's no switch. So there's no on or off. I know many women wish there was one. And so we can't tell you exactly the day you will have menopause. It's a transition, it's a phase.
Now, what are some of the symptoms that women will have to know that they're going through menopause?
It will surprise most women to learn none. So most women, the vast majority of women, have no problems through menopause at all. They were having periods monthly, those periods stop, and that is it.
And it really can happen to any age, right? Women at any age.
The average age of menopause is 51.
Okay.
And that an average means that there will be some women who go through menopause as early as age 40 would be a normal menopause, and some women who go all the way till age 60 having periods. And so the bulk of women will be around that 51, 50, 52 age, but definitely you see some women on the outsides of those.
Now, what about medications? Are there some medications that you might recommend to help with symptoms of menopause?
So when women are symptomatic, and those symptoms can be hot flashes, some women will find that their concentration or focus will change. Some women have insomnia, they have a hard time sleeping. Some women will see a change in their metabolism, so their weight will start to change. It might go up, or they may started an exercise program, not see any change in their weight at all. So you start seeing differences in your metabolism. And some of those women won't need anything at all because they feel it, they have a hot flash here or there, or they start just getting really hot all the time, and it doesn't bother them. But if it's disrupting your life, if you can't get through your day at work, if you're tired all day because you're up all night, that's where medications come in. And there are two big groups of medications that women will use. One is the estrogens. Estrogens are by far the best medication for treating those kinds of symptoms around menopause. But surprisingly, the medicines that were developed for depression, a class of medicine called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, also work well in low doses for hot flashes or menopausal symptoms.
Now, what about some non-hormonal options? What can women do in that area to minimize symptoms?
It's a great question. So the SSRIs are non-hormonal, right? And so that's a great option for women who can't or don't want to take hormones. Other things are lifestyle changes, and we always recommend lifestyle changes first. So, if you live with someone else, make them freezing at night so you'll be warmer. Dress in layers so you can take stuff off. I saw someone just yesterday, she had a small little mini fan that you stick in the back of your iPhone to power it. I thought this thing was ingenious.
Yeah, I think we all need one of those.
So exactly, and living in Arizona, yes, we do. And so you can do lifestyle changes like that. Now, there are a lot of herbal remedies that people will talk about as being helpful, and the studies and the data on those is a little less certain. So some women will definitely get benefit from a black cohosh or soy-based products, etc. But the vast majority of women won't see enough benefit from those.
Okay, good to know. Now, doctor, what is the difference between perimenopause and menopause?
I mentioned menopause is not an on-off, it's a phase. So any woman who is having symptoms, maybe some menstrual irregularities, hot flashes, some of that insomnia that I mentioned, but she's still having periods at some point, she is perimenopausal. Interestingly, the diagnosis for menopause can only be made backwards. So the definition is 1 year of no periods is menopause. You can't make it forwards because things can be so irregular, they can be so up in the air.
Okay. Now, doctor, share with us how menopause affects heart health.
I love that you brought up the issue of heart health because this is something I want to put on every woman's radar. Women are at risk for heart disease just as men are at risk for heart disease. We often think about heart attacks as a male disease. In fact, since 1984, more women have died of heart disease than men. So this is a woman's disease. And in fact, we think of menopause as the transition, but we should think of heart health our entire adult lives. Some women who have certain complications in pregnancy are at higher risk for heart disease. Now, when you're pregnant, you're not thinking about heart disease, but we should, because pregnancy can impact your heart function later in life. So it's not menopause per se, but just getting older that affects heart disease. And heart disease should be something that we're all thinking about throughout our lifespan. Numbers like your blood cholesterol are helpful and important when it comes to heart disease. Your blood pressure, those are things that we should be thinking about because they impact heart disease. Like I said, your pregnancies and complications that you might have had, critical for women to know and to talk to their doctors about, because that will impact your risk of heart disease.
Do you have any final takeaways for women about menopause?
Two things I would say. I get a lot of folks who come to me and say, please check my hormones. And I have to tell them, unfortunately, because things are in flux at the perimenopausal phase, hormones don't help us. Because on any given day, your hormones may be up, they may be down, they may be normal. And so unfortunately, you can't get that satisfaction of a lab test because they just are not helpful. So that's one. And the second one is that, most women have no problems. So menopause is not something to fear because most women go through it just fine and they have no complaints whatsoever.
Well, very important and valuable information, Doctor. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.